So stupid. Anyway, so basically, if you have a question and you want to come over on stage, please raise your hand and I'll call you over and you come to this mic to answer whatever you want. And I'll answer whatever you have a question in mind. So in the meantime, I'm looking through my files. What I do, like the way I do pre-production is that while, let's say I'm walking by, I'm at work or something like that, I have an idea for a song. So what I do, and most people I know, either record it, like they just write the lyrics down or something that they can later remind themselves. That is, if you're music theory based, you can write notes and stuff. But in my case, because I don't know how to make it, like write in theory, I can just hum it. I can just sing really badly on my phone and have ideas for it. So I'll show you like some examples of ideas that I have. Some random stuff that I literally just walk down by the street and just record it to my phone. Something like that, for example. Hold on.
There's
like supposed to be the idea for the vocal melody. And in most cases, I only have a vocal melody. I never have lyrics in the beginning. Because the way I work, I like to work on composition more than lyrics. And sometimes I can always find a way to lyrics to fit into whatever I'm writing in terms of melody. And the most important thing is that when you record it, obviously it has to make sense to you way ahead. Like this is something I made like 2 years ago, and it was supposed to be something that I want to collaborate on Manda Pony with. This is like an idea that I have for him to work with on. So. And there's and I have like lots of like recordings like this. Well, I have like over 60 that are potentially could be songs, and every time that I have like a new song to work on, I always pick from whatever I recorded and I forgot about, because whenever you have a good idea for a song, you always forget it later. So it's like you need to record it at the moment when the time comes, and then you later kind of like remember that, and then it's like I have a great idea for a song. That's how September came to be. That's how Good Old Days came to be. That's how even the remix of Discord came to be. Just because I had this idea way ahead of time, and then I could just sit on my computer and just work it straight, because I knew exactly that I have a start, middle, and an end in the pre-production. And yeah, just be afraid to express yourself when you start pre-production, and that kind of like gets you forward to motivate yourself when you start working. So questions, please? Yeah, go ahead. This mic.
All right. My question is, okay, for when you get an idea for a song and you want to try to, I guess do the remix for it.
Right.
For the Stop the Bats remix, you had 2 different songs.
Like one that basically it's a parody, and then the other one is like
is the actual song itself. I mean, is that one of those cases where both songs could use your remix format, or is that just because you wanted to have something that lead into?
Oh, okay.
Stop the Bats.
Well, in this case, it's more like both. Because what happens is that because Stop the Bats, for those who haven't heard this, it's a remix that I made. It's basically a house track. It's like a 4x4 and just like dun 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 dun, and it's a very very like and thanks for asking about this, because Stop the Bats is a very interesting case where the instrument existed way long before Stop the Bats was even aired on the show. And I was planning to do that as a collaboration with Acoustic, Mando Brony, and also with Anneli Heed, who's the Swedish voice actor for Spitfire. And I just finished that, and we had no idea where to go with this. So it's like, it's just sitting on my computer for a long time. And then Stop the Bats came, and then I listened to Stop the Bats, listened to my remix, and I said, hey, this kind of fits together, I guess. And it was also during the time where, the reason I added this other song in the intro, it's just because, I wanted to just joke around, because I was very much, if you follow me on SoundCloud, you see that I upload a lot of SoundCloud jokes, which is basically like a lot of producers like myself want to joke around and just say that we just don't want to make any serious things. We just want to poke fun at whatever is popular nowadays, whether it is the hashtag selfie song, whether it is the Animals by Martin Garrix, even joking about I Didn't Jude, or whatever is like right now popular. We can make like a joke from it, similar to YouTube poop, basically, but in an audio form. And when I did, and when I did that, it was just like, I guess it's funny, and it kind of fills in the intro in the beginning, and it leads to Stop the Bats later. Though to be honest, I don't think this remix was to its potential, because it still feels like in some parts a bit too, doesn't make sense as much. So I don't know. But that's like a subjective thing. So artists always hates themselves whenever they finish a song. They're always like, I don't, this song sucks. I can improve later on the next song or whatever. Because there's always going to be this regret. But that's the fun of it, is that you always keep improving on the next song that you make. The previous song is always going to suck. So it's going to be a continuous process that you keep on making. So let's start with production, shall we? So the question that a lot of people have is that, what do I start with? What's the first instrument that I need to work with in order to make a song? So, and the fun part is that it doesn't really matter, and sorry for cheating with this kind of answer, but it's true. But there is something interesting about choosing your first instrument, because psychologically, whenever you choose your first instrument, that's what leads the song to be like that instrument that you choose. Let's say you start with drums, and you decide to have a specific pattern. Whenever you think of melody for that drums, you suddenly have to make everything work together in that song to fit whatever you created first, because that's what leads to everything else. So in my case, I always start with either a lead melody, because I have like the lead melody and I know that this is the most important part of the song, so I know exactly how to work around everything with that. That's the same goes with vocals. That's why remixing is so much fun, at least for me, because I have the vocals ready. I don't even listen to the instrumental, I'll just listen to the vocals and say, how do I fill the gap? How do I say that these vocals can work with something? And that's basically the entire process of just remixing for a lot of people, is that they just listen to whatever they have first, and then they make everything along with that. And so, for example, let's say I'm going to improvise a stupid melody with whatever I have. Let's open Minisynth. Minisynth is one of the newer plugins that come with FL Studio. It's a proprietary one that just comes with it. It's stuck with it. So let's say I just use a normal preset like that. Oh, that's cute. but let's say this is the melody. Let's say on it's like 140 BPM. So let's say. And as you can see, like I have the lead melody. And because I heard this lead melody, it's like you automatically think about what adding on top of it. And that's like the entire idea of production, is just adding on top of things and layering more and more and more. So like, let's say this melody, I had like keys for it. Like there's some kind of like chords to play with it. It's like baby stabs. So let's add this thing. No, it doesn't sound good. That sucks. You know what, let's switch to a different synth. Now, there's something that people notice when it comes to me working, because there's two types of producers. There's the guys who make every type of like synth like from start to bottom, like they just make the entire synth from scratch. And I, for example, work with presets, and that's because it's much easier to just not necessarily the sound that you want, but the composition that you want to fulfill somehow. Because I'm not focusing on how to like create sounds, even though that's a very interesting process and that involves a lot of knowledge in sound design and how sound waves work and everything. And but that's something that's like when it comes to this, you always have something to work with, which is like the important thing for having a preset, is that you don't need to dwell into being technical, because that's the very hard, difficult step when it comes to production. Is that you either you become a producer that composes things and makes everything live together, or that you're focusing on one single sound, and then you don't become a producer, you become a technical engineer, like an audio engineer. You just focus on just making it sit right into the song mix, which is the really difficult part of just making it sound right. And that's something that you have to decide by yourself. Do you want to make a sound and just focus on it, or do you want to make a song with all the things that you got? Also, when it comes to preset, feel free to just change it, and you don't have to let's say that preset it's called Mando for some reason. No, this is what came with it. Don't ask. So it's like, this is the preset, but I don't like the fact that there's a bit of reverb that comes with it. Sorry, delay. So I can just change it, just remove it, and now it has and now I want to disable the attack. Let's say, hold on. No, there's no attack at all. No, sorry, release. I'm confusing myself. So here we go. So release. So basically, it means that it cuts off right at the end of the note instead of just keeping it a bit longer after it finishes. So, for example, now let's look back in the lead. So so just from here, I understand I'm just gonna input like a 3-note chord, just basically from what I hear. There's nothing like, there's no secret to what I do. It's basically just like, I know like, I just know from just listening to music that, you know, chords work like this and work like that. And if it doesn't sound good, then there's probably something to fix. And the more you do it, the more you kind of like become natural at this kind of thing. Because I remember I used to like make chords that don't really fit to anything, and that's like a thing that you need to be careful with. So it's like, it's gonna be like this. And the fun part with chords is that you can change the song's feel the more chords you add to it, and you can let the lead just keep on playing. Let me just do something like that. You get any questions, by the way? I'm sorry, it's like, go ahead. And whoever also has questions, feel free to like form a line if you want to. So it's like you can all come over here and then come over here to ask your question.
What are your favorite plugins in FL Studio?
Favorite plugins are actually Maximus, because it's a fantastic multi-band compressor that allows you to basically have the sound basically very much even out with having different sets of like equalization. You know, basically saying that you don't compress the entire track based on, you know, how much the levels are. You just you compress it, you know, onto different separate like EQ proportions. So it's like it's on a lead, low, and middle, and also the treble. So basically, it's all based on those three. And some multi-band compressors even focus on more, much longer, bigger range of like EQ proportions. So you can basically do whatever you want with it, and that's really handy. It's a bit difficult to get those other things, but I'll dwell into that just a bit after I finish with this thing. Yeah, I wanted to do that. So it's like this. Let's say this is gonna be like a minor chord, like a. Have like those two instruments. Do you like it so far, by the way? Oh, yeah. Let's make this a track and post it on Beatport. And then just make it a big room track. It's like yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, boy. So I'm so sorry this kind of like cannot show, because it would definitely help to like explain things more, but whatever. Well, I'll try my best to explain everything verbally, just by talking a lot, because I'm boring as hell. I'm sorry for being boring.
Not completely boring.
I don't know, because some of you are like kind of like, you know, yawning is like, oh no, yawning means bad. Tombstone, to say something funny. Hey, ponies. That's like DX10. For you to ask like what my favorite plugins are, I think DX10 is my favorite. Not because it's a good plugin. It's a very simple FM synthesis. That's just you know, has some really basic presets that sound like DOS instruments from like DOS games and stuff. For those who are, you know, born before, like in 1991, go figure. Anyway, so it's like, this is the bass. No, actually, I'm gonna change the bass. So DX10, the reason I love this one, because it has like very like presets that don't necessarily sound anything to a proper instrument. So whenever I listen to whatever I compose, let's say I have an idea as a composition, instead of just hum it, let's say I'm in front of my computer and I actually have an idea, instead of just producing everything, because I might forget all the parts later afterwards, I can just choose a preset from the DX10 that sounds really, really bad, and just make a notation out of all the parts that are important to me, and then produce everything afterwards, because it's easier to just move, you know, MIDI files around. For those who don't know what MIDI files are, those are, you know, files that have like notation information and also information regarding automation. Like, let's say they know it's going to be higher or lower in certain like proportions to it. So it has all the information about notations. That's what people use to like make, like, let's say, simpler remixes. Like, let's say, take the MIDI file of the song Final Fantasy VII, and you can basically just change all the instruments that come with in that file to make use it as a skeleton to make the entire, you know, body, so to speak. So hold on. That's too much of the low bass. boo bass. It comes with it. Boo bass is really, really simple. It sounds really muddy and stuff, but it's good enough for what I need. So we got the lead, we got the keys, which are the chords for this one. So now I'm basically going to overlay basically a bass to like match with the chords. So in FL Studio, the way FL Studio works is that you can make patterns, and each pattern you can either there's patterns, and you basically can in each pattern you can create like whatever composition you want in each pattern. You can also decide that pattern one is going to play like da na 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 na, and the second pattern is going to play na 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 na. Or let's say that you want one pattern to be na 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 na, and the second one to be this melody plus a drum track. And that allows for many options to actually have like patterns that each one has a different set of instruments playing together, and that allows you to later do like a big set of like patterns that follow one another and everything like that. So let's say this is the pattern where only the lead melody is playing in, and the second one is where the chords and the bass is going to play in. So it's like. Okay, so it's like this one. So I'm gonna do some like crazy stuff and basically decide that I want like the notes to be like da na 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 to give it a rhythm without having a beat yet. So gonna copy that, paste that again. It sounds so boring when I just have nothing to show. I'm so sorry. There we go. So it's like basically what I did. I just copied. I basically made so the notes are going to be shorter, and that allows me to copy them and then also copy them again and raise them an octave higher. So it's now instead of just having na 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 na. So now it's it's too quick. It's like it sounds really bad. I'm sorry. It sounded cool for a little, and then you realize no. It's too bad. It's too late to apologize. Here you go. It's too late. Here you go. Tombstone, a producer and also a comedian. That's nice. There you go. So. One trick that I always do when it comes to making sometimes long notes and everything is sometimes I like to cut off just before it ends. So it's basically instead of just like, let's focus just on the chords. And I decide to cut it off just a little bit, just so it sounds like that instead. It adds a bit of a spice to it because it gives some kind of like a space in between, and it adds, I don't know why it sometimes sounds good because it basically adds a bit of like a cut in between. It allows you to differentiate between the notes that you hear all the time in, let's say in a very heavy, let's say you're making a very heavy rock song and you suddenly hear the plucks of a guitar much easier to to hear each note when you listen to a song. That's, and which is it leads to another thing is that, when you make music, it's important to, when you make it for yourself, that's fine, but if you want to release it to other people, they need to understand what you're basically aiming at. You cannot just decide that I made something that I think is good. And the other person, when he says that it's not good, it doesn't always mean that it's not good because this is his opinion. Sometimes he doesn't understand what you're trying to create. So the idea is that when you make music, and that's when it's a basic, idea for music in general, is to, it's like telling someone a story and he needs to understand your story. He needs to understand what you're coming up with. Because otherwise, it's just going to be a gobbled mess where things are too much, loud to you in your ears, and you're too focused on not listening to it because it's too loud for your ears, rather than enjoying it because he creates something that he would like to show you. So that's a very important, food for thought for just making music in general. So now we get the bass and stuff. So it's like with the lead, it sounds like this. So we got all these instruments down, basically just the bass, chords, and also the drums. And yes, now I'm gonna come for the drums. I'm gonna come for you.
I'm not as good as I think I might be.
Oh really? Oh really? Really? Oh, really? Oh, really? So now I'm gonna put actually drums. So that's the next part. So drums, when it comes to drums, because the fun part about drums is that it's a different way to look at music in general, because this is percussion. It just means that we're not talking about notes. We're talking about actually give it some flair to it. And you can go whatever you want with it. And the thing is about drums is that drums usually also dictate what kind of song you're trying to aim at. So if you decide like let's say the famous one that I always use, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, then it gives like a nice feel to it, and you're basically saying that the drums don't really matter to me. I just basically want to make like the music work. And sometimes you can choose like kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, just adding a bit like an output, just the snare in the end, because usually it's like adding a bit of a flair or something like. I'll just compose it because it's easier to explain that because you can only say kick snare so many times, and I cannot just say kick snare hi-hat. It's too complicated. So let's maybe use. So is the plugin I'm gonna show you how to make the drums on is Addictive Drums. I have Addictive Drums 2 actually. It came out just a month ago, which is surprising. Maybe we try best. No. Because it has a very nice flair to it. The pack for the Addictive Drums, this one is Black Velvet. You actually have to purchase it separately. The ones that come with Addictive Drums are they has like 3 packs and that's it. Anyway, question time. Do you guys have any questions? Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah, your turn and then his. Sorry about that.
Actually, kind of just have to get more clarification. Like, what type of software, are you suggesting for?
Oh, for starting?
Yeah.
When it comes to starting, whatever is complex enough so you can actually get into it. A lot of people always kind of recommend Ableton Live, FL Studio, Sonar, Logic, or any of that sort. And you can always even make music on Audacity. I mean, this program is enough to record all the instruments together and still layer them, and it's enough for you to work with whatever you want. But as I said, it's a give or take thing. Every program has its pros and cons. For example, FL Studio is amazing when it comes to handling production, when it comes to routing, mixer channels to another mixer channels, because it's so easy and complex, easy to do that. However, FL Studio crashes a lot sometimes, and some things are unavoidable. And Ableton Live crashes a lot, and many other programs crash a lot. However, Ableton Live, which is really smart, they do that when it crashes, it automatically saves the project file, so it doesn't get lost. And FL Studio doesn't do that, so you have to click Control S all the time, which is a good tip. Control S, Control S, Control S, Control S, Control S, Control S. It sounds like Spanish, but Control S, Control S, Control S, Control S, Control S. So, yeah.
How much money would you say you have spent to make music like this for the software and the plugins and stuff? Like how much of an investment have you made for this?
Actually, I'm trying my best not to pay that much money for plugins and instruments. And the only thing that I paid the most is actually for FL Studio, which is the entire complete producer pack, which is $600. And it's only after they made the reduction of 50% off, where it was supposed to be $1,200, which is pretty expensive for a pack like that. But it's worth it because you eventually want to support the artists, the creators, and it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, you can set it to back up every 5 minutes. I figure just throw that out there.
Yeah,
that'll
I'm
save
very
your
bad
life.
at time, and sorry.
It'll save your life. I just want to say.
Yeah.
No, but my question is, by the time you're all said and done, what does a project file usually clock out to in size?
It's really small because most project files tend to be a 500K. Because what happens is that project files only save the properties and everything. Thank you.
All right, so you're not using samples and stuff. You're just.
I am Kermit, and I do a very bad impersonation of him. Help me. You do it.
Here, I'm just going to join you on your panel as Kermit.
No, you have 1 minute, though.
Huh?
It's almost over.
That's cool.
Oh, wow, you go all out. Oh, is this microphone?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kermit the Frog, and I will be teaching you how to make sick wubs.
Hey, Kermit.
Who's ready?
Kermit, I got a question for you. What's your favorite plugin to work with?
I am very partial to Sausage Fattener and Sound Goodizer.
There we go. Kermit the Frog, everybody. All right. I'm very, very sorry. I didn't really plan time. I thought 30 minutes was going to be enough to teach everything, but it's really, really hard. So I have only like 30 seconds. But thank you so much for like being on this panel, and I hope that whatever I answered so far is enough for you guys to be covered and actually start making music if you haven't already. And thank you. Thank you for being on the panel, everybody. Thank you all. For listening to me 30 minutes speak about nothing and kind of make a song. I mean, this is not a song. This is nothing.
Hey man, hey, Tomb, no joke. Tomb, no joke. If you had some good drums to that, I will rap over that.
Oh, really?
I'm not even joking. How about this? I'll make you a deal, Tomb. My performance is tomorrow night.
Yeah.
If we can finish this by then, I will perform this tomorrow night. You'll save it?
It's just really weird. Mike is over there. It's like I'm talking to an imaginary friend.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
Mike.
He doesn't know which way to turn, and it's brilliant.
Mike, where are you?
I am finally the omnipotent
Oh, hi, Mike.
voice I
Nice to
always
meet
wished
you.
I could be.
You remember
As-
back in childhood when we used to shake hands?
Hey, Tomb,
What?
watch this. You ready for something great?
Yeah, what?
It was at that moment in my life where I became the sentient voice that I always wanted to be.
Oh my God, it's Morgan Michelangelo Freeman or something.
As I looked down upon the attendees of My Little Pony MSP, I could not help but think, wow, what a bunch of freaks.
I love you guys. You guys are great.
Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for the Living Tombstone. All right, get out of the room.
Get out! All right. Yeah, sure thing.